This is a Byzantine build order that I've been working on over here. The goal of this build is to get up 3 cisterns early into the feudal age, and then constantly apply pressure and trap your opponent inside their base. This has been working out pretty well for me on the ladder, and there's also a lot of easy ways to pivot off of this and react to whatever your opponent is doing. So, with all that being said, let's get into it. So, my first 5 villagers are going to go to sheep, and the 6th is going to build a cistern, a house, and then go to gold. Obviously, you want to get the best possible cistern here that you can. However, I will say that since you're going to be dropping your second one while you're aging up to feudal, it's not the world's most important thing to get this right, because you can always cover the rest of your resources afterwards. But obviously, you want to try and get the best cistern you possibly can right out the gate. Your first villager from your town center is going to go to gold. They're going to build a mining camp, and you're just going to leave those 2 on gold. You now want to rally back to the sheep and go up to 8 villagers on food, at which point you will start to send people to wood. Now, when you start to send villagers to wood, it's important that you want to cut 1 straggler tree, and then you want to send them to the wood line. I would choose the straggler tree that is closest to the wood line. Essentially, I'm going to want to drop a mining camp very soon to start gathering stone for my cisterns, and if you don't go for the straggler tree, you're not going to have enough wood to do that. But if you stay on all the straggler trees, you're going to be delayed a bit trying to get down to your first production building. So, I'm rallying out to this tree, and pretty soon I'm going to have enough to age up. Now, at the point where I have enough gold, I'm pulling 4 villagers off, and I'm starting to build the hippodrome with 2 of them, and the other 2 are going to go build a mining camp and start to gather stone to get those cisterns up nice and early. We're going to continue rallying onto wood in the meantime, up until 5. Want to get this lumber camp down before everyone else gets over there for maximum efficiency. And at this point, where we have 5 on wood, we want to rally our next villager out towards the berries. He's not going to end up on the berries, but we want to get down a mill, a house, and our second cistern. Once he's done all of that, we're going to send him over to gold. So, he pops out. And at this point, we're rallying back to sheep. You should be able to afford wheelbarrow right around the time where he finishes this house. And something cool to note here too that I've learned recently is, since I have these cisterns overlapping, I don't really have to think too much about what I have them on. So I turned this one onto Dialecticus just for now to get wheelbarrow cranking at 1 minute research time. But this one is still on Conscriptio, and since they're both touching the hippodrome, depending on what you're doing out of the hippodrome, the benefits are going to apply for either or. So if I produce a horseman, it's going to come out fast. If I research something, that's also going to come out fast. Just something fun to note. We're still rallying on to food here until we get to 8. That should allow us to get a couple early horsemen out and sustain archer production, which is what I'm planning on going into. And once we've aged up, I queue up a horseman immediately, and I'm sending these 2 guys towards wood. They're eventually going to build my archery range, and my goal now with this specific build that I'm showing here is to pump out as many archers as I possibly can. I essentially want to show my opponent these horsemen, force them to drop down a barracks, and then come over the top with a ton of archers. Once I've got the 8 on food, I'm rallying back to wood until I have 13. And I've just finished gathering enough stone for my next cistern, so now I'm getting that up with the 2 villagers on stone, and these guys will also go to wood afterwards. So, at this point, if this was a real game, I'd be harassing with these horsemen, probably sending these archers across the map once I get 2 or 3 of them out. But you should be well set up at this point to constantly produce archers. Now, since you're on level 3 of the Cistern, that is going to not only give your villagers a 15% buff to their gather rate, but it's also going to make military units come out 1.6 times faster, or 60% faster than normal. So at this point, you really want to be striving for 17 on food and 13 on wood if you're going for archer horsemen. What's really nice about this is since you already have a lot of people on wood, it's very easy to see what your opponent is doing and react to it accordingly. So if I saw that my opponent had dropped down a stable, I can just very easily drop down a barracks and start going for the limiete. Limiete? Limitone. So, with that being said, if you want to go Archer Horseman, you need 17 on food, 13 on wood. If you want to go Archer Liminete, you want to go 18 on food, 13 on wood, so that's basically the same. And if you want to go Horseman and Liminete, you need 23 on food and 7 on wood. So, if you end up going, or being forced into that position, you definitely want to go secure some additional food out on the map. But depending on what you see your opponent doing, you can kind of react accordingly before they're able to do much about it. So, I'm just pumping archers here, and now that I have 13 on wood, I'm going to start rallying back to food. I like to send guys out to berries at this point. And while we have enough to constantly produce archers, slowly we're going to start building some additional food to mix some horsemen in. Basically, you're just chilling here. You should pick up the eco upgrades, especially double broadaxe and fertilization as fast as you possibly can. I was a little bit late on doing that in this game, but them's the ways. And now that we got about 11 or 12 on food, we'll be able to start mixing in some horsemen. You also want to drop down a blacksmith as soon as you possibly can here and start to get some upgrades. If I'm sticking with this particular build, I want to go for Steeled Arrow first, but it may depend on what you're trying to do. And essentially here, if this was a real game, I'd be out taking map control, harassing my opponent, trying to waste their time. And somewhere around like the 9 to 9:30 mark, you have your next decision to make. Because in a second here, we are going to be fully macroed up to constantly produce not only archers, but also horsemen, once we get that 17th out on food. And at this point, you kind of need to take stock about what's going on in the game, you know. So if you've kept most of your units alive and you've been able to do some damage, you have a couple different options. You can start to macro towards Castle Age here, or you can continue to apply furious feudal pressure and try and enter the game now. If you're going to take that latter route, I would recommend going in and getting siege engineering as fast as makes sense. Or if you want to go up to Castle Age, I would start rallying more villagers out to gold here. You should be able to get about a 12 or 13 minute timing to castle, and what's nice about this too is whenever you get 6 on gold and you're ready to start thinking about Castle Age, you can start to kind of re-macro very easily, right? If you cut unit production, it should be like a minute or two until you can actually click the age up button. But what I would like to do here in a lot of cases is maybe I'm trying to go heavy into cataphracts, or I know I need to get crossbowmen out immediately as you get into age 3. What I'll do is I'll take some of these wood villagers and just go build some farms, start that transition as early as I possibly can, and maybe drop a couple additional production buildings to try and get up what I need to as soon as I get to Castle Age. And that's pretty much it. One thing I'd like to show real quick, because I don't have any great examples of pulling this exact build how I just described it on the ladder. I'm going to show a quick game where I was forced to pivot a little bit, but still worked out incredibly well in my favor. So, I'm doing all those things that I just said. not going to spend too much time looking at this. My opponent in this situation is Abbasid. So, I get the age up going, I get the stone going. I'm starting to go see what my opponent's up to. And I see here that he's starting to go on stone, and that he's going economic wing. So I know that there is going to be a couple town centers coming out here. A little bit delayed on a couple of these things, but I get this archery range up. And I'm sending these first horsemen across. Now he's already dropped an archery range, or a barracks, because he knows that I'm going to come in with these horses. And I scouted out here, and I also scout out that he is going for a stable. So at this point, I'm thinking I need to pivot away from archers. So as soon as I possibly can, I'm going to drop down a barracks, and I'm going to start mixing in some liminette. I know he's got that first town center up. I wasn't really able to do much about that. He's starting to build his second now, which I am unaware of. But I'm about to show him a bunch of horses and a bunch of archers, and I'm sure he feels comfortable now because he's got the stables up, and we're going to get a couple villager picks, but he feels probably comfortable to be able to kill my archers. Start rallying the spears across now. And he is going to lose a few more villagers, and he's got 3 town centers up, but he's kind of locked in his base at this point. And now, behind this, I've achieved kind of the macro that I was looking for, and I'm able to just constantly stream units across the battlefield. I'm going to continue to macro towards being able to produce a full 1-1-1 comp. But now that I'm pretty sure that I have a military advantage over him, I'm going to start thinking about trying to siege down one of those town centers. I'm sure I have a military advantage now, but I'm bad at this game, so I'm taking too much time to get siege engineering up. Sitting here. He's scared, I'm sure. I do know at this point that he's not on gold over here, so I got to assume that he's going to be on gold somewhere, and I'm about to scout that out, which is going to be great. And we're getting some rams down. Some fire rams. And from here, I want to take down this town center. I'm also doing a raid over here and kicking him off gold and food, which is very nice for me. This town center is going to go down, and I'm pretty confident at this point that I can just kind of all in this, so I'm going to send it. He's doing a raid on the back line, I don't really care. Micro decently, get us around. See you later. That's pretty much it. Eventually he's going to pull like 1,000 villagers over here to try and repair this up, and no problem. So overall, that's build that I've been working on. I would love to hear any feedback or optimizations here, as I think we're all still trying to figure out Byzantines, but go try it out. Maybe it'll work for you. Maybe it won't, and I'm an idiot. We'll find out.